In this video I want to show you multiple different foot positions, and I want to show you how you can squat safely without injuring yourself. You want to be able to do this for a long time, and you want to keep being able to progress in weights. Progressive overload is how you adapt and your muscles grow. Yeah, I'm not trying to tell people how they need to squat, I'm just wanting to raise awareness of different body positions and ensuring you're keeping yourself in a safe position. So from this video I want you to be able to look at my form, look at things that I'm doing maybe right or wrong, some of the things I discuss in this, and take away. I would advise recording your squat side on from here and maybe one from the back and one from the front, and just analyse it yourself. No matter what the textbook form says or what people say you must be doing, at the end of the day you have to be honest with yourself. If you're moving that weight from A to B and you're doing textbook form and it's hurting your hips or it's hurting your back, or somebody says you need to go ass to grass, if this is hurting you, you adjust. If the textbook form isn't correct, you adjust. But you want to be adjusting in a smarter position, understanding why that's sore. Are you leaning too far forward? Are you not bracing your core? Are you not keeping your upper back braced at the bottom? You know, are you maybe not holding your breath and breathing properly? Maybe the range of motion isn't correct. Maybe you have got a high bar start off point and you're trying to go over more into a low bar position when you go down, which offsets your balance. It might be that when you've taken the bar or the weight out of the rack that you've not been braced properly, or you're maybe too far to the right or too far to the left, creating an imbalanced lift. Now all these things, so it's all about adjusting to what feels good for you and your body. We're all unique, we all have different limb lengths. A lot of time I hear people say I'm tall so I can't squat over the centre of gravity. You know, you have so many things you can adjust here to keep over the centre of gravity, whether your knees travel forward, your hips, you know, what position they stay in, your shoulders as well, you know, your body position, where you've hinged. These are all different positions, so just because you have longer legs doesn't mean that you need to squat with an arched back or, you know, different things like this. In this video I'm going to show you can squat safely and protect your joints. We're going to be looking from a side-on point of view, looking to make sure your core's braced and that your hips are aligned, squatting with a neutral spine. So we're going to try different foot positions, going to show you how, if you're leaning off centre of gravity, how this can affect your spine. And we're going to be looking at different things as well, likes of keeping the bar over the centre of gravity, making sure it's directly above your heel. So in this I'm just going to demonstrate it without any weight, just to get the form right. And I always recommend, if you are going to be practicing these things, it's always best to practice with no weight. What I often find is people tell me they've got flexibility issues and they can't go all the way down. For range of motion, for me, you should go as far as you can without injuring yourself. What I will find with people is when they try to go too deep, they put a lot of pressure on their back and their lower hips, and they end up loosening their core and their hips will wink in and out, or they end up leaning too far forward or putting themselves in an unsafe position. Many people as well will damage their knees or hurt their knees if they go below parallel. For me, aiming for parallel or below is what I'd be aiming for, but again, everyone has to adjust based on their own body type, their flexibility and their strength. So one thing I do see quite often is I'll see people only come down to here, and then they'll tell me they have tight hamstrings, they have poor flexibility. One of the things I often say to them is, okay, how do you put your shoes on? And they'll go like this. So then often it's not a case of flexibility, it might be that they're just trying to squat with too much weight. So what I will do in that case, I'll ask them to reduce the weight to a more sensible weight, or I'll ask them to squat with just the bar. So what you see when I've got the bar here, so obviously I'm trying to keep my upper back strong. I have that braced and nice and tight. I take a slight bend in my knees. Once I have a bend in your knees, I align my spine. So you'll see there when I align my spine, similar to what they do in Pilates, that my glutes, my bum almost disappears. If you are squatting like that, with your bum pushed out and your bum gets bigger when you're squatting, there's a very high chance that you're not bracing your core. So you'll see there, if I do the Instagram butt pose before I squat, I put a big arch in my back. So if you watch my hips and my spine, I brace my core and it all goes flat again. Loosen my core, goes back to there. So I want to be holding that position throughout. One of the things I often see people do is they fold in half first, so they tell me they have flexibility issues, and the first thing they'll do is they'll bounce with their legs straight, and then they'll go fold in half. Now I'm pretty flexible, but I cannot push my body through my knees. So with that in mind, if I bend at the knees first, keep my core tight, everything aligned, knees just pointing out slightly, back nice and tight, big deep breath in, brace the core, abs tight, and I sit down and back first, leaning slightly forward to keep the bar over my heels. You get down there. Obviously I'm talking just now, which unbrace my core slightly. Core braced again, and straight back up. The alternative version, bending at the hips first. You'll see there the bar is massively off the centre of gravity. My core's not braced, you can see my belly as well, breathing out at the bottom. If you get to the bottom and you can see your belly breathing in and out, your core is most likely not braced. So the key here, keep your core braced. So core braced, spine aligned, core braced, bend at the knees and sit back. You'll see there that should be directly above my heels, and core braced again, drive up through the heels and back in. I also find if I keep my knees slightly bent and my core braced throughout the movement, I have a much better squat. You see the same, so narrow foot position, core braced, spine aligned. If you can't align your spine like this, I would suggest getting a Pilates instructor or somebody to show you how to do it properly. They are very good at it, they're the masters. Make sure your feet are also in line as well. See it there, spine aligned, core braced. Bend at the knees first. I did notice so many injuries as well, so I was having slight problem in my hips winking because my lower back was weak and I wasn't bracing my core properly. So one of the things I learned, that if I align my spine, brace my core, and I lean just slightly forward, keeping everything braced, I was able to hold that position. Keeping leaning forward slightly, core braced throughout, reset your breath at the top if you're not talking. What you see there is by leaning slightly forward and keeping everything braced, the body seems to move more as a complete unit. What you'll see there is if your belly is hanging down like that when you squat, you're not braced in a good way. Somebody should be able to hit you in the stomach throughout the whole movement. So you're basically bringing your spine. When you do that, you'll notice everything goes. Everything's hard. Throughout the movement, everything's solid and it stays in place. So another thing I see with people, you will find they tip forward. So they're doing somewhere in the middle. So they maybe do bend their knees first, but instead of sitting back, their goal is almost folding in half. So quite similar, a power lifter. Well, they're leaning too far forward, so they're off the centre of gravity. The centre of gravity is where the bar wants to be, the path. So they're leaning forward, so they want to tip up on their heels, and then they will lift their back up first. You don't want to be dead good morning at the bottom of the movement. So for these people, one of the things I can advise which helps them is facing a door in your wall as close as you can, and with the door right up in front of you. If you lean forward, you're going to hit your face off the door. You'll only do that a few times before you correct your form, and it allows you to build up, sitting back and down as if you're going out to the toilet. Again, always with the core braced and the bar over the centre of gravity. You'll see there my face never goes past my knees. This also keeps me more upright, protects my back, I'm not a power lifter and I'm trying to work my quads more. So I mostly high bar squat, so my squat is always on the top of my traps. Many other people, for different reasons, they want to maybe move more weight, will use a different technique where they roll the weight to the mid of their traps, which again is fine, but when they do this, it allows them to lean forward more, and because the lower bar path, they're able to keep the bar over the centre of their heels. So many people tell me that the upright version of the squat I do isn't correct. Many powerlifters do a certain different technique and they lean a lot forward. If you're doing an upright squat and the bar is on the top of your traps, you want it over your heels. If you've lowered the bar position to mid traps, this would allow you to lean forward more. And most of these people as well who are doing this, especially in competitions, they don't need to go ass to grass sitting on their heels. So they've lowered the bar position, which allows it to stay over the centre of gravity. They lean forward and they go to about there and they go back up again. These two different versions, so they are a totally different type of squat. So for me, try not to get mixed up on one. You're either doing a squat where it's a low bar path and you lean forward more, or you're doing an upper trap, more upright squat which targets your quads more. And you're in both versions, the centre of gravity is your heels, and that is where the bar should travel. So I'm going to do this with some weight now. This is just a really light warm-up weight, but this is about technique. This isn't about pushing maximum weight lifts and things. Today I don't have my knee sleeves on because this is just a warm-up. I don't need them for warming up. So again, see from a starting point here, I put my feet, I've actually used the wooden panels on the floor to line my feet up and make sure they're equal distance in front as well. And I want my knees to be in line with my shoulders as they bend out. I've opened my hips slightly, and first thing I always like to do is align my spine, brace my core, I breathe in, crunch down on my abs, slight bend in the knees, and I just want to sit back and go down. I don't breathe out until I get to the back, and I shoulder press out of the bottom. The bar doesn't actually lift off my shoulders, but it keeps the upper back nice and tensed. So I hope in the video that the bar path is right over the centre of gravity. If it's not, I will be adjusting it. Again, if you video your lifts, you can do the same. So we're going to do a couple in each foot position. So that's in that position. If you do the famous Instagram squat, so I wouldn't advise doing this with heavy weight, but there we go, stick the bum out. I don't have time to pull my leggings up into my butt, but I think you get the point. So I've arched my back out there, and I'm going to push my bum as far back as I can, and that hurts my back. You see there my hips have to rotate to get back into position. And then I want to, this is incorrect technique, so don't copy it, push my bum back out to get up, which you'll see there as the hips lift first. It crunches my back at the bottom, and I need to almost arch and lift my back up to get back into position. This is really poor form. If you're pushing your bum out like that, try and correct it. It's not smart. So again, their bum disappears. Correct form. Incorrect form, leaning forward first. Incorrect form, range of motion. Incorrect form, pushing the butt out. With the correct form. So as I explained at the start, it's always good to try different positions with the camera and make sure your form looks good from all angles. Side on's good for checking, make sure you're bracing your core properly in centre of gravity, and also the back gives you a slightly different angle as well. Sometimes you don't notice what your hips and your glutes doing unless you are looking from the back. So slightly heavier weight here again. Hips aligned, core braced, hold the breath, bend the knees first, shoulder press at the bottom, reset the breath at the back, at the top. So, abs crunched. What I do find when I'm squatting, actually, okay, I have multiple injuries, but actually holding the core in that position as you go up and down for me is much harder than actually the power that goes through your legs. Is much more difficult. So you'll notice quite often many people who are squatting with good technique, you'll notice a lot of shaking and things when they go up and down because they're trying to hold that position. Legs are big and powerful. They can handle a lot of weight, so they're definitely something to think about. So I hope this has been helpful. This is a mini series, 4 parts. If you check out the other videos, we posted one yesterday which was about fixing imbalances in the squat. On Friday we'll be looking to do one about different foot position and how to target different parts of your legs. Thanks for watching, and check out my other videos for top tips.